Welcome back to the Cutty and Govy Show. We are on Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Apple. Today we have a great guest, Mitch Kay, friend of mine that I met, a bunch of years ago. He works up in Palm Beach, and he's famous as being one of the Palm Beach bartenders. He's worked in 3 or 4 or 5 different restaurants up there. And today he's going to regale us on a whole bunch of fun stories about the gals, the guys, the prostitutes, the whatever you want to talk about in Palm Beach. But before we get there, we have this was a crazy week. Every week, Govy and I say, what the hell are we going to talk about next week? Well, we have Taylor Swift. We have the fire alarm gate at the congressman. We have Kevin McCarthy yesterday getting thrown out as Speaker of the House. We have Menendez, however you pronounce his name. We have Hunter Biden spending $1 million a month on his defense. So let's start out before we get to Mitch, because we could spend 5 hours with him. Let's start out with the big news of the week, Taylor Swift. I mean, Govy, what do you think of this whole Taylor Swift? She's dating a football player now. The attendance at last week's game, the ratings
went off the charts, highest rated game. But she's great. I think it's great for football. I think it's great. I think it's great for the two of them, to be honest with you. You know, they're both 33 years old.
You know what's amazing? I look at her and a Kim Kardashian. I mean, Taylor Swift has some great talent. She's unbelievable. And then you have a Kim Kardashian. What is she famous for? She's famous for being famous. I mean, does she have any other skill besides having a very tiny waist and a big bottom? I mean, what is her skill?
Well, she got peed on in the shower, and that's how it all started. I mean, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's how it got started.
That's how it all started. But, I think it's great. I think Taylor Swift, there was some, comment that she made the other day that she kept her last relationship kind of hidden for 5 years, and now she just wants to live a life and be out in the open, and she wants to have a good time. She's 33. Why not?
And it's called Swifties. I mean, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. And the ratings on the show that she was in the stands was higher than the last Super Bowl. Just absolutely crazy. Anyway, let's start out with that Kevin McCarthy stuff, because that happened yesterday. It's the first time ever in the United States of America that a speaker lost his post at in Congress.
It's that's true. There's a lot there that if you have to pull it back and really want to see what's behind the curtain, it's interesting. There was 8 people that basically determined for Kevin McCarthy to have to vacate the Speaker of the House.
But wasn't that his deal going in? He knew.
He made a deal.
The devil, right? He made a deal.
And supposedly Nancy Pelosi said, "Don't worry, I have your back," which means she's letting them know that some of the Democrats would not all 208 would have voted to have him removed, and that way he could have kept his house. So because she wasn't there and that didn't happen, the first thing that the Speaker of the House now, the guy that's like just there, the interim Speaker of the House, who happens to be a friend of Kevin McCarthy, the first thing he did is he told Nancy Pelosi, "Get your ass out of your office, you're done." And that was
Does she have to leave that office?
She has to.
Oh, right.
She did. She kicked out. Nancy Pelosi had an office like in the Capitol building. The first thing he did was kick her out because she basically told Kevin McCarthy that, don't worry, we have your back. They didn't, but there's some hidden stuff there with Gates, and there's a couple things. If you remember when Donald Trump for the January 6th insurrection that they say, Kevin McCarthy, he came out immediately afterwards, and he kind of blamed Donald Trump. So if 2 days later, Kevin McCarthy had to go down to Mar-a-Lago and kind of apologize that he shouldn't have said anything in public, that he agrees that Donald Trump was wrong. So Donald Trump probably has that grudge that he kind of hid. Matt Gaetz had his own.
Not Matt Gaetz. He's unbelievable.
Well, he had his own thing right now that
he has quite a head of hair. Now, all of us have quite a head of hair, right? We all have good hair.
But he was being investigated for having
sex with a minor.
Having sex with a minor, so much that the House was
disgusting.
investigating him, and Kevin McCarthy, he just had a hot one for. So he has some personal grief right now.
That's like pretty egregious, don't you think? If you're accused of having sex with a minor, I mean, there's probably some truth to it. I mean, that's a pretty. I wouldn't level that accusation at anybody unless I had some pretty reliable.
You know what? It depends. You know, it could be she could have been 18. Some people could say it was much younger, but you don't know. No one knows anything until it is. But people express their opinions, and he basically holds a grudge. And it just so happens if
He got even.
If McCarthy had 20 more people in the House, it wouldn't have made a difference. But when you only have 5 votes to work with,
right,
that was it. So he had the hammer, and when he used the hammer in this case, and you know what? If you want to turn things upside down, they could choose Donald Trump to be Speaker of the House.
Wow. That would be incredible.
And you know what Donald Trump could do? First thing he could do is he could say, I want an investigation on Garland. You know what? I want an investigation on the judge that's like at my trial right now.
How could he get he couldn't get the amount of votes, could he?
No, you don't need any votes. You get appointed.
Oh, you get appointed.
You get appointed by them, and then they vote. Everybody's going to vote for him. He could ruin you. You're not going to vote for Donald Trump. They're going to vote for him to be president. They'll vote for him to be the House.
Well, this is my take on it, and you heard it here at the Cutty and Govy podcast. I believe the Democrats went for this because it shuts down the House for 2 months, or until they find a new speaker. They can't do any investigations. They can't do anything. So now it's a delay in getting Joe Biden, you know, the junk on Joe Biden, the junk on Hunter Biden. It slows down probably the Trump stuff too. So it's a delay tactic. So, you know, on this Menendez stuff, you know, I noticed that they have a fast trial set. It's a trial set for May. And, you know, that's only 8 months away. And here this guy, you know, he's not going to go to jail. And his wife, she's like a double agent, right?
It's, you know what?
It's like you can't write books like this. It's unbelievable.
This story's really complicated. I mean, enough so that, you know, most of the people won't even be able to follow it. But, you know, right now, Sweden and Finland want to be in NATO. And you could be blocked by a country. And Turkey right now is blocking them from coming in. And one of the deals that Turkey wanted is they wanted F-16s to be delivered to them for them to be able to say, we'll accept Sweden. The person who's in charge of making sure they get what they want is Menendez.
Unbelievable. Right.
So I mean, here is a guy that he's the perfect guy. He is the fox in the henhouse.
So we believe, just like Biden, he stole more than 500,000. Guy probably stole 20, 30, 50 million, right? I mean, if it's in charge of all this stuff.
The idiot, though, stole a gold bar, which is like, right. I mean, he probably has $50 million, but he needed a solid gold bar in his house.
So he could
and
go
$500,000 in cash, which is like stupid.
Right.
But, you know.
This is just a crazy story, but, you know, you watch the news with this guy and his wife. His wife knew all the Egyptian people and knew a lot of foreigners, and she brought them into the circle of love. And here we go. I think that there's just no way he's going to jail. He has all the dirt on Biden. He has all the information about Ukraine and who got paid and where the money's going, and I really believe that this guy's a rat.
So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
If you're Joe Biden right now, and you know you get briefed on everything, except I think that his own people, when they brief him, they know that his attention span's only like 2 minutes. So they have 2 minutes to brief Joe Biden, and it goes like this: we got this guy Menendez. He's going to be a headache for you. Hunter, he's going to be a little bit of a headache for you. Donald Trump, there's a little bit of a headache there for you. You got classified. You got an inspector right now looking into you, a special inspector looking into all your classified information. I don't think Joe Biden can handle this. I think right now, especially with the world, with the Ukraine war going on, the border,
gas prices,
the economy. I think
inflation.
At what point do you think Joe Biden just says, enough, I can't take it anymore, I'm out of here?
I think he's so far removed that he stays in it. I don't think that it's affecting him yet. I mean, if he has to do debates and he has to do interviews with the news media, then I think it would affect him. But essentially,
what does he say to all these different things that are going on right now? What does he say?
He hides. He
doesn't
say anything. He hides. And he doesn't say anything. And that way he's insulated from it. You know, we'll see. Time will tell. Now you have Robert F. Kennedy, who's going to run Thursday. He's going to announce he's going to run as a third-party candidate. And that's just going to fuck it up for the Democrats, because even if he takes 10% of Joe Biden's vote, I mean, that's enough to make Donald Trump the next president.
He asked Joe Biden, he said, listen, my uncle was assassinated. My dad was assassinated. I would like to have some Secret Service protection while I go through this thing. And Joe Biden said no. And he finally, without everybody avoiding him and all the newscasts, he said, you know what, then I'm going to do it. I'll go my own way.
So you think Joe Biden mismanaged Robert Kennedy Jr.? He should have appeased the guy.
Could have done it. Maybe he didn't have to do a debate. He could have appeased him, said, listen, we'll work something out. Maybe we'll have a job for you somewhere. We can make you ambassador, just like your cousin. Your cousin is Carolyn, isn't she the ambassador to Japan? We'll make you an ambassador. Where do you want to go?
Yeah. So, again, Joe Biden mismanaged this, just like he did with this Mendez, whatever. I would have never had the DOJ indict him.
His son, though, is trying to avoid this gun charge. And you know what he has to do to win? He has to fight the law that his father backed. His whole thing is on this gun law that Hunter Biden's going to now try to say that it's unconstitutional.
Well, I don't even understand. He just pleaded not guilty. How's he plead not guilty? I mean, they have him dead to rights. I mean,
because he's allowed to say that he was recovering from rehab and that he was no longer a drug addict when he actually purchased the gun.
Well, you know, they've given him 6 months of drug tests, so the cocaine in the White House wasn't his. Or if it was his, he was given.
Well, it is kind of interesting. The guy shaved his head. Now, let me ask you a question. You have a nice head of hair.
Oh, hair follicle
let me ask you a question,
test.
Matt.
I had a couple of them.
Would you show up, Matt, if I told you, listen, I need you to shave your head? You would want to know why. Now, if I said, because you could go to jail if you have any drugs, but if we shave your head, the chances of you passing the drug test is much better. You would shave your head.
Right.
Yeah. But if I
may come in with a shaved head next week.
So all of a sudden, Hunter Biden shows up for court with a shaved head. I mean, the first time? Come on. He did what he had to do. They said, you're going to be drug tested here. We need everything we can get. And that's why he shaved his head.
Well, since we're talking to Mitch here, Mitch, why don't you tell our 116,000 listening audience a little bit about yourself? You came, so I know Mitch. I won't say any of the restaurants that he used to work at. We've never edited a podcast yet, but if we mention names, people, things like that, we will edit it. In fact, if do you know any 45 to 50-year-old gorgeous blondes with great figures, double D chest, with 40 or 50 million in liquid cash? If you know, could you maybe give me the
Yeah, I'm not going to share that information with you.
No, anyway.
That would be great, wouldn't it?
No, look, if they have 40 or 50 million in liquid cash from a divorce from their son of a bitch husband. Anyway, so Mitch, tell us a little, how did you get, Mitch is from Ohio, and we're going to hear about what life is like on the interesting side of the bar, and that's the side where you get to look at everybody. You get to look at the old men with bad toupees. You get to look at the gold diggers. You get to look at the newly divorcees. You get to look at the LGBTQ people. Palm Beach does have a fairly large gay population from what I can gather. And generally, most of them, it's a generalization, they're affluent. I mean, out there in Long Island, the Hamptons, there's quite a big population, and they're very affluent. So let's start from the beginning. You're coming from Ohio. You land here in Florida. What's next? How old are you?
I was 20. just turned. I celebrated my 21st birthday down here, so I was 20.
20.
Yeah, 20 years old when I moved down here, and
And why'd you come to Florida? Why'd you come to Palm Beach? Let's go on the record. Probably one of the wealthiest cities in the United States of America. Mm-hmm. The average home there, which is a joke. Donald Trump, they're saying Mar-a-Lago is 18 million. You can't even get a parking spot for 18 million up there. But very affluent. Why'd you decide to come to Palm Beach instead of Colorado or?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up visiting Florida. I did my family vacations down here, more West Coast, and all the Midwest pretty much travels to the West Coast.
Like
Naples.
Fort Myers and
so I
Naples.
grew up going to Fort Myers. And I always wanted to live in Florida. I loved it down here, and my brother had moved down here. So family really brought me down.
And did you look like that with the muscles when you came down, or is that something that you
This is
developed?
This is the lifestyle now.
Oh,
This was
okay.
acquired.
Right. I'm trying to acquire it. It's not working so well for Gavy's trying to acquire it too. We're not doing too good.
No.
Yeah, so I moved down here. I lived with my brother.
Older or younger brother?
He's older. He's 30.
And does he look like you with the muscles? And...
Yeah, he did. He actually got me into exercising and stuff, and now he has a 1-year-old baby, and
okay.
Is
sells
he in
real
the hospitality business?
He was, and that's what actually got me into hospitality. He worked at a restaurant, and their affiliate was in Palm Beach, so kind of like got me in there, and that was like my first high-end serving job.
So you were a bartender or a server?
When I started, I was a server.
And did you have any serving experience? Or?
I did, but not to that like magnitude where I'm serving like who knows
The who's who of the world.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy, and we'll get into that. You never
Let's
know
get into it.
But let me ask you.
who's sitting right here.
But let me
hostage?
ask you a question, because I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
After you've been there for a while in the hospitality business, you've seen a lot of different things. Like there shouldn't be a lot of surprises that come your way, because you've probably seen it all. What one thing, still said, you went in the back, you looked, and you had to say, "Holy shit, I can't believe that." Anything that you saw that made you even say "Wow," I didn't see that come. There was a fight. Maybe two people fought in front of you, or you saw a great-looking girl, and then all of a sudden, instead of a guy coming, it was another girl that came, and you were like, "Wow,"
I think I've seen it all now. I've seen all those, and I think is what blows my mind still is just how people can be when they're sitting at the bar, and Palm Beach is the top 1%.
No, wait, how do we say that? Palm Beach?
Palm Beach, yeah.
Palm Beach, okay.
Palm Beach.
I want to get it right.
Yeah.
All right.
It's just majority of the people, I would say 90%, are very respectful. They're very nice. But when it blows my mind is in the worst guests I say to serve are usually a group of ladies, 2 or 3 of them in their 50s and 60s. Those are the most difficult group to wait on, and there's always an issue.
Do they leave
what?
a big
Give me
tip?
an issue. Give me an issue.
Well, yeah, they don't tip, but that's
They don't tip.
Yeah, they tip like shit, but that's besides the fact. It's just whether the food's cold, and the food's not cold. It's they over order, and then they're they want to send stuff back, and this doesn't taste right, and it's no, where I work now, food doesn't get sent back. It just doesn't.
Well, that's
happen.
always a nightmare. You're sitting at a table with 4 people, and then one of the guests says, "My food's not right." So what are the other 3 people supposed to do when they take her steak back or his steak back because it's rare and it's supposed to be medium? Do the other 3 people sit and wait for the...
No, they got to eat.
Yeah.
The rule of thumb is you eat when your plate's in front of you.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of the restaurants I actually worked at, and this was a corporate restaurant where I met you at, and we actually did something there where if someone sent their food back or it wasn't, say their steak was overcooked. Now this kind of gets iffy. Like we would bring all the meals back until that 4th plate was correct, so all 4 of you can enjoy your meals at the same time, right? Because, like, who knows what the occasion is? In Palm Beach, you go out 6 nights a week, but not everyone does that. Is this a business meeting? Like, is this, whatever. So that was pretty cool. But then, like, now your food's getting replated, and it's
So
kind of...
what's it like when, since I'm a non-drinker now and I was a champion drinker in the
Sober
time.
3 years.
Nice.
Yeah, but,
That's awesome.
But what's it like
It
when
was
you're
a lot more
serving
fun
someone?
when he drank.
Yeah, I imagine.
What's it like though when you're serving someone and you see, like, they come into the restaurant without any alcohol in their system, and then you see drink 1 go down, you see them loosening up a little bit, and then drink 2, they start getting that confidence that they could approach maybe a girl, or they become a little bit more social at the bar, they're interacting with you maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, is there a time where, like, a drink like 3, 4, they, like, you see that they all of a sudden they become like the life of the party, and they're
Definitely. I think...
it's a great drug, alcohol, isn't it?
Oh, it's crazy. That, and I feel like women and sex is like just crazy at the bar.
So let's get into that a little.
Yeah. Well, it's on this topic for a minute. It's when I first interact. A lot of the guests, I guess I should preface this. A lot of the guests are repeat guests.
Okay.
They come in. I mean, I had 3 people text me today, like, "Hey, I'm coming in Friday and Saturday," like, and I set this up for them.
Do you know what their drinks are? Do you know,
I
like,
know
this
they
guy
drink,
is an
yeah.
old-fashioned, boom.
Yeah, 2 of the...
He's a professional.
The guy, they drink martinis. I know they're all their drinks. But a lot of the guests, like, I'll say, how you doing this evening? Like, ask them if they're having dinner or drink. This is when I'm behind the bar. And, at first I'm like, wow, that guy's rude. But then I get him a drink, I get him set up, and get his order taken. And once he gets a drink in
His
him,
personality
oh,
just
it's 100% different. It's like maybe they had a bad day or something, and then like drink 2, and then it's like now he's asking me where I'm from, what do I do during the day?
Right, it's the stress. It's coming, it's
Yeah.
driving there. He maybe had the drawbridge went up and he had to wait for a big boat to go by, and that like ruined his day.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Do you find that when people are drunk, they're bigger tippers, or it's the reverse of that?
You get definitely bigger tippers.
Right. So I met...
You're not figuring out the tip.
Yeah.
You're just happy to find the right...
No, he
here's the right
says, let
point.
me help you. That would be...
Yeah.
No, I met Mitch. I would go into the restaurant. He was a very popular place. He was a bartender there. And, it's just like he said, it's very difficult in the very popular places to get a seat. So I became friendly with him for selfish reasons to get a seat, and he was a nice guy, and then we ended up playing golf. Funny story, I took him out. He met Donald Trump, the day we went out, and he said, "Do you think I can get a picture with the Donald?" I said, "Sure, we'll ask him." So I said, "Mr. President, can Mitch get a picture with you?" And I don't know, there's 40, 50 Secret Service agents all around you, and he's standing next to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump's there, and they get this picture, and I'm taking pictures of the 2 of them, and Donald Trump leans over and he says, "You look like a pretty tough guy. You're not going to hit me, are you?" And Mitch says, "Well, there's 40 Secret Service agents with Uzis. I don't think I'm going to take a shot at you."
They asked me, what did he say? He asked if I was for hire for security or something.
Right,
and I should have took him up on that.
Right. But is he as tall as you, would you say?
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
He's like 6'3", I
Yeah,
think.
or taller. I mean, we were kind of like on a little...
Yeah.
But he's a big
tall guy. He's a big guy. But anyway, getting back, so you have all these different people coming to the bar, and a question, in Palm Beach, do you see prostitutes in Palm Beach?
Yeah, they're...
And how can you tell they're a prostitute?
Well,
Hold on one second. Let me just write this.
And wait a second. When he says prostitute, there's a difference between like a prostitute that people might be thinking like I saw one on the street in New York off of Broadway.
Like Pretty Woman, like not like
and
the
then
girl.
there's the prostitute that looks like they're wearing a Chanel handbag and you wouldn't know that they're a prostitute.
yeah, that's kind of getting. These aren't like your average prostitutes. I mean, they're
smart
this
enough
is-
to go to Palm Beach to
yeah,
look
they're
for a
in Palm
guy,
Beach,
right?
and they have to travel during the summer because you don't see them much in the summertime. Well, which is they're going back to how they're smart.
They're in Nantucket.
They're in Nantucket. They follow the money. It's
Right,
like
yeah.
it's what a lot of bartenders and servers do as well. They do a season down here. They go up to Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard or
Right. What do you do if you have a family, though? If you have,
yeah, like
it's harder.
I was offered, and I have, I just have my house. I enjoy the summers here. I golf. I have my dog. Like, so I don't do that. And
So just for
summers
the
are good.
record, because I asked Mitch, I don't want to know about you personally, but, in these very, very busy restaurants, a good server or bartender can make between $150,000 and $200,000 a year. Now, I guess it's changed a little because what would you say, 95% of the checks are credit card now? Nobody pays cash.
Yeah, for whatever. I don't mind. Cash tips are always better, definitely. But I mean, you're still making. I haven't made under 100,000 since my first year working there.
23 years old, you're making $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
You must have been blowing your mind. You must
Yeah, I
have been
didn't know
out of your
what to do.
friggin' mind. You're a good-looking guy. He's making $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
Wait, I got to just go back to one thing.
The prostitute thing?
No.
I was right.
Has there been any situations where someone picks up a girl or something in there that like that baffles the mind? Like you see maybe someone, 450 pounds, 5'4", and then there's a striking, great-looking girl, and he's like successful, or you see a really good-looking guy that like he chooses like a girl that's like, not that great looking, and you're like, wow, he set the bar pretty low there. He could have he didn't outkick the coverage on that one, and then there's some you must sit there and say he really did outkick the coverage.
Yeah, how'd he get her, or how'd she get him?
Do you sit there and think like, he must have a good personality?
A lot. There's a lot of. I mean, it's a lot of good-looking people that come into the restaurant, like males, females. But then you mean, like you just said, there's a guy sitting there. He's super overweight. He's eating his cheeseburger. He's got ketchup dripping down his shirt, and he's got a beautiful lady sitting next to him, and she's very elegant. I'm just like, how's this even?
Right.
Because he used Cutty's favorite pickup line. What do you tell your kids?
My favorite. I tell my kids, tell these girls your name is Elon Musk Jr. Right?
Right.
What is the best pickup line? I mean, tell my kids right here. I have two young boys. I have one married son, two young boys. What? Do you have a good pickup line that you've
you
heard?
heard?
Well, there's one that this guy used, and he ended up leaving with the girl,
Oh, then it worked.
But so he said his name was Richard Tito's. He's like sitting there drinking the Tito's and soda, and the girl orders a Tito's martini. He goes, "I'm gonna buy that for her." And I said, "Okay." He goes, "Because I own Tito's." And then he shook her hand. He said, "I'm Richard Tito's," and it's not Richard Tito's who owns Tito's.
Right.
But it worked.
Oh, she believed it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she bought it into it. But it's like now with all this social media.
Yeah, you can.
Well, you know
Google.
what?
Hey,
So you're saying if this girl was at like Costco and he would have said,
I'm John Costco.
No, my father is Kirkland. You know? And you get to the thing, my last name's Kirkland, and my grandfather really built something up here because by the time you get to the cashier, everything you own in your cart is Kirkland.
Yeah. Another thing I've been seeing a lot lately is the guys bringing their dogs to the bar.
I don't get that. Leave your dog on the
my
laundry
gosh.
room floor. Your dog's happy on the laundry room floor.
Do people complain to you that they brought their dog to a bar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I try to always play both sides, right? Like, because I love to go out and enjoy a nice dinner.
I love my little doggy, but I don't take him to the bar.
I'm a
Yeah.
dog owner. I
And
don't
my
want to
dog's
see a
name
dog.
is Tito, by the way.
Is it really?
It's named Tito because of I've been drinking Tito's for 25 years.
Yeah, so there's a guy in particular. He brings this little, I don't know, it's probably 10 pounds, if that, and he sits it on his lap. He sits at the bar, and you're supposed to only let service dogs in. He says it's a service dog. We can't say anything,
Right.
but, and he always strikes up conversations with women.
The dog or him?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and I'm just like, come on, dude. Like,
So you think the dog is like a conversation starter?
Yeah,
the
in
girl
lieu of a
comes
pickup
over.
line.
No,
"Can I
listen,
pet
if you're a
your dog?"
ventriloquist and you brought your dummy,
Right.
and the dummy starts doing you start doing the toy. That's his crutch. That's his thing.
Yeah,
it's his
so-
prop.
But can a restaurant refuse to allow somebody in with a dog?
I don't know the exact law on that. I mean,
If it's a service
I know
dog,
if it's a
probably not.
service dog. I know Publix just ran into something like that where they don't allow.
They put a sign up and everything. But generally in a restaurant, you would have to call up. You have to check out the thing. And if you're really busy, you don't have. It's just as easy for you to let the dog in, and you just kind of like make like the dog, is well behaved.
Yeah,
and,
they're supposed to sit on the floor. You're not supposed to feed the dog.
Well, the problem is if there's two dogs and the two dogs start barking at each other and they start trying to go at each other, that's really where the rubber.
Does any of them order like the steak for a dog? Do you ever get one that says, "I will have"? My dog likes a little peppercorn steak, and like, does
Yeah.
anybody order a full meal for the dog?
There's in my restaurant before this one. They got a guy that came in. He ordered a plain fillet, no butter, no seasoning, and that's for his dog. And then actually the place I'm at now, there's a guy that comes in and he gets. So I work at a restaurant, and then right next door you can actually walk to it through the restaurant. There's a Japanese restaurant. And they serve sushi rolls, all that stuff. He gets tuna, and he gets it cut up to give it to his dog. And I mean, like,
Crazy.
yeah, it's crazy.
But
They're eating better than me.
no,
You know what? How about if he told you that his dog says like words like "ikimasho," which means "let's go" in Japanese? Ikimasho.
Now, not to beat a dead horse, but I want to finish this prostitute thing. I mean,
Yeah.
So these prostitutes are coming into these very high-end Palm Beach restaurants. I know you don't work there, but that Henry Flagler bar in the Breakers Hotel, you always see them there at that bar. But I mean, they're always well dressed, right? They're not, very promiscuous looking.
What do they charge?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't.
I'm sure in the thousands, right?
Gotta be.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, it got to be in the thousands. But I mean, the restaurant owners or managers don't frown upon it if they're polite and well behaved. And
Yeah, I mean, as long as you. So what I run into is they usually sit at the bar and they'll do some of them will have a glass of Prosecco or something cheap, and they'll either have club soda with some mint and lime, and they'll sit there and they'll wait and just like scouting out the talent. And, eventually a guy will come up to them and talk to them and buy them a drink, that do that deal. But I'm pretty good at spotting it now. But they're still dressed just like, not like a Palm
'cause-
Beach woman, but they're dressed nicely.
but I want to know how the conversation goes to the guy that, oh, and by the way, I'm a prostitute. After I
After
spend
after it
half
gets,
hour with her, I mean,
it could maybe be when they get home. If the girl was
when
smart.
is the price discussed?
Yeah, well,
before
if the girl's smart, she could sit there. She's sitting by herself, and she could be like pretending to look at her phone. And maybe she says to the thing, "I'm waiting for my girlfriend." But he says, "Can I buy you a drink while your girlfriend's coming?" The girl never comes. Then she says, "Oh, my girlfriend called, got a flat tire," And then the guy says, "Well, I'll buy you dinner." And then comes who knows? I mean, they probably have a script that they.
Yeah.
That they know what they're successful
Yeah, how
at.
do they, get to the point where they say to the guy, "Hey, look, you're getting lucky tonight. I want to tell you if you want to pay X, Y, and Z." But I would imagine in Palm Beach, don't you overhear a lot of people bragging? I'm, so and so. I have, a house on the, here, and I have a plane,
Yeah.
and I have this kind of car and all kinds of stuff. Do you hear a lot of that?
Yeah, you do. I mean, that's a lot, I feel like, newer money, I guess you could call it, or people
Well, our
just
money's
moving.
very fresh. It's being podcast
Yeah,
superstars.
I don't know, you do get a lot of it, like, thrown in your face. Not like thrown in your face, but like people do talk about it, and it's like kind of like a pissing match almost. But
Well, it makes them better looking.
Do you find the
skinnier,
girls
taller.
brag? Do you feel that the girls brag more than the guys? Like I have whatever, the Birkin bag or this kind of
Yeah,
fancy.
you hear that more of like the designer
what is that
stuff.
called, Gavi, when they have the thing that doesn't come off?
The Cartier love bracelet?
Yeah, the Cartier love bracelet, right?
Yeah, it's what I find is interesting, and like we said, I've seen everything, but what I really respect and I love is when there's a couple or guy sitting at the end of the bar and he's minding his own business, and I strike a conversation, and one thing leads to another, and I get to find out more about him. And I what I like to do is I like to get the name, and I'll look at the name, and I'll go on Google and be like, who is this guy? What did he do?
Right, you're back.
Well, doesn't every girl Google now? If a girl, like, how many girls Google? Like
I do it a lot too, though. I want to find out. I get that part of it.
Been in prison 6 years. You just got out.
No. Some girl could say, "What's your name?" and he could say, "John." Whatever.
This guy's worth
Blankenship, and all of a sudden she's like doing, "Wow."
Yeah. I mean, you don't know who's worth $5 billion sitting next to you, and then you got Joe Schmo worth $5 million, and he thinks he's the hottest thing on Palm Beach.
Do the valets ever come into the manager? The guy pulls up in a super fancy car. I just saw a Bugatti out there, actually. It was. Hey, this guy's a big, he just came in a fancy car, take care of him. He's probably going to spend a lot of money in here. Does that ever happen? Like in the strip clubs, I've heard, I've never experienced it myself, but I hear when you pull up in a fancy car in a strip club, the valet goes into the manager and says, this guy just pulled up in a Bugatti or whatever, and, put him in a red rope area or something.
Yeah, I mean, you get everything. Ferraris, those are like the Hondas of Palm Beach now. It's like someone pulls up.
That's 5 years old.
Yeah,
that guy drives a 5-year-old.
That doesn't even get your head to turn anymore.
Yeah.
Ferrari, the red Ferrari, like you just keep on walking past.
The best is the guy's 86 years old, and you watch him try and crawl into one
or
of them
get out
of one of them.
Let me ask you: do any girls or any of them, like, as a business, do any of them go up to you and say, Matt, here's some money. They tip you. Mitch. They tip you. And they say, I would like you to introduce me to someone that's here this is what I'm interested in. This is what I want. I'm giving you my order. Set of steak. Yeah. I want a guy, 55, 60 years old, good looking guy, successful. Can you steer him my way, like, at all? Like, can you do that? Does anybody give you money to do that? Like a matchmaker?
It's never happened, no. I mean, I
Why?
do. They should, right? I mean, I'm the best, like...
If a girl comes over,
if you're successful, they would tell all their friends, go see.
Better than Match.com, Mitch.com there. Yeah.
Go see Mitch.
They
should be like, go see Mitch. Look what he did for me. See this house?
Yeah.
Mitch.
Yeah.
See this car? Mitch.
Right, you get on a monthly retainer or residual. Well, how about does any some 60-year-old widower or something, you're a good-looking guy with the muscles, they ever approach you and say, I know Mitch has a girlfriend. He's going to be very careful what he says today. He's not going to reveal too many secrets. But do they ever try and ask you out on a date?
Yeah, I've definitely come across that, and
you ever say I'm flattered? And
I just kind of joke it off.
I mean, I see his brain thinking. He has to come out the right way.
Yeah, how am I going to say this right? I mean, I have.
Well, we can edit it. So you can answer 3 different times, and Ben,
so
our
you have
producer,
a girlfriend. What business is your girlfriend in?
So she does the same thing. She bartends.
So what happens if you're there and someone wants to try to pick up your girlfriend? Does that ever happen?
We don't work we won't work the bar together. So if I'm working the bar, she's not even in the restaurant, or if I'm serving, she's on the bar. So it's because I was engaged and I worked side by side with someone. It was actually great.
But does your current girlfriend now, does she ever come home to you and say, boy, there was this asshole today. He wouldn't leave me alone. He wanted my...
Of course.
And she pulls out 6 business cards.
Yeah, of course. It happens all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
And does she get jealous of you? If she sees somebody hitting on you?
I guess it's part of their life.
Yeah, it's part of the job. I mean, you go there and it's you're kind of on stage, right? You're it's not like an act, but
No, I got you.
you're on stage.
You're expecting it.
Yeah, and like I can't just like get offended if someone or it's just not how.
But there is a code of ethics. I remember.
Who makes bigger tips?
Typically, the females do.
What size chest? If they have a C chest, a D chest.
No, I'm just saying.
depend
She
on
makes
the
more
size
because
of
it's
their
easier
chest?
to give her. The guy
Yeah.
feels he can give more money, and you have women that probably don't tip as much as giving you.
Yeah, where I make my money is from like repeat. My biggest nights at the restaurant is when Dave.
Oh yeah, right.
That's great.
That's such a joke. To our 116,000.
But wait a second. But your girlfriend though could come home,
Thanks,
even if it's the
Mitch. I
first time.
appreciate
She
the
could come home and say, "I met this guy named Cutty, and
Yeah.
look what he gave me."
No, but there is. So I had a situation back up north years ago where the bartender, his name was Gus. Not that I'm going to rat him out, but I will.
I know Gus.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So Gus, so what he did was I was dating somebody at the time, and I was in there the night before with a bunch of guys banging around. And when I got home, she called me, "You're home," whatever, and I lied to her about where I was. The next night, she was in there with a bunch of girls, and Gus said to her, "Oh, I saw Dave last
Oh,
night."
you don't do that.
I know. It's like a bad, right? There's a
That's
code.
like a code. Yeah, that's like.
You never say whoever comes back or anything like that.
Yeah, and
How about
that's
if they
like.
point blank say to you, "Have you seen Dave around?" What do you do? Yeah, do you say, "Oh, geez, I wasn't working last week"? Or,
Yeah, you just be like, oh, like I haven't seen him in a little while, because that could mean what, a month or 6 months. I mean,
Right.
whatever. It's like,
So, what are some of the code of ethics? I mean, obviously, you're not going. If I'm married and I come in there with my wife, and then I'm at the bar, and
you
luckily,
see- yeah, so-
some girl starts talking to me or whatever, you're certainly not going to rat me out to my wife the next time I come.
No,
Hey,
no,
do you
of course
like
not.
Sally that I saw you talking to?
yeah, how was Thursday night?
Or the other way around. Do you see women fooling around on their husbands?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's mostly I mean, there's a specific one time definitely that stands out to me. This guy, his wife was out of town. He texted me. He's like, "Hey, I'm coming to the bar at 6. Save me a seat," and saved him a seat. And there was two girls sitting at the seat I had, and it wasn't an intentional act for me to put him next to these ladies. And one girl left, and he. Talking, I'm going to shut my security cameras off, and I'm very.
Oh,
like,
so you heard he's going to shut? He's going to
Yeah.
take
His house is security cameras on his house? Oh my God.
So he's like, I'm gonna shut these down, and they ended up, leaving together, and I just can't. I saw her, I don't know, a couple weeks later, and I wasn't. You just can't say anything.
Right. No, you
Right.
can't.
It's not like it's just, how you doing? It's how are things? How have you been? It's not.
So when all this is happening, the manager of these various restaurants you worked at, I mean, are they coming up to you? What's the story there, Mitch? Or they're just staying out of it? They don't want to be involved in, that's your area.
Everybody's doing okay. Why do they need to say anything? They're just
Yeah,
worried about are
just,
people
yeah.
overserved or not overserved.
Yeah, that's
as long as
mostly
it's a
what it
safe
is.
environment. There it is.
Yeah, they don't care about the drama aspect of it, and I mean, neither do I really. I'm there to be professional, and I'm there to serve the guests, provide them a good experience, and make the restaurant money, in the end, and make sure everyone's happy.
You know what I hate though? When I go into a bar and I know you a long time, and the bartender says, "Do you want your regular?" And for me, that makes me look like a drunk. You never did that to
alcoholic,
me.
yeah.
Yeah. Like he knows my drink. It's like
No, you know what I say to you? Are you doing an iced tea? It's because it's
So
true.
do
You drink iced tea.
So a lot of these people, since they're up here on the island or something, do any of them say, "Listen, I'm throwing a party tonight. Are you off? Can you work? Can you be
Yeah.
like a bartender at my house? Like I'm having 20 people over."
Yeah, I mean, I did that. I started doing that.
That should be great.
The private stuff is super fun. I started doing that
Everybody's
2 years
nice.
ago, like kind of right after COVID.
and you see
ended.
these fabulous houses.
Yeah, and I see a lot of the same guests that come into the
Right.
restaurant. So it's like I already know your face. I know what you like to drink, and then
And they know you. They know you from the restaurant.
yeah, and they're comfortable. They trust me. Like, all right, this guy's in my house, and they trust me and the great thing is the people I get to meet, and the houses are just insane. Like,
Yeah.
the one house I was at, I remember it was a private birthday party. Wayne Gretzky and you had Dustin Johnson, Tommy Hilfiger, Kid Rock was there.
Wow, so all the Palm Beach celebrities. I know
Yeah, the
Rod
biggest
I thought you were going
Stewart.
to say a birthday party for this 8-year-old. I was
Right.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, like
His 8-year-old,
Entourage,
you know.
the bar mitzvah.
Yeah, that was a crazy night, and I've worked many of these private events, and
Well, a lot of those guys live up in the Jupiter area where you live, especially the golfers, right?
Yeah.
They all live up at that Bears Club, like Michael Jordan.
and Admirals Cove. and-
Admirals
yeah.
Cove, yeah. So Palm Beach is, what is that, a 20-minute ride from
yeah, about 20 to 25 minutes.
25
Do you see a lot of people Ubering or?
A lot more now take Ubers.
So do you have the call, or is it your manager? Like, I've had 4 drinks. Do you say to me, Mr. C, I can't give you another one, or the manager has to?
I mean, it's so we take into a lot, like how this guest walks in the door is one, because what did they do before they came to
That's
this
a good
restaurant?
point. You said that the other
Yeah.
day, yeah.
I don't know where you were before this, and then are you eating? How long have you been here for? Like, if you are here from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock,
No,
and
it's
you've
like
had
you need a
4 drinks,
degree
it's like-
from Harvard for that.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's
figure
serious.
It out.
Like this, I overserve this guy and girl, and they go get in a car and kill someone. Like, that's serious stuff.
Or
So-
not only
What happens if someone like that's a homeless person comes into your restaurant?
Yeah, we
What do you
had
do?
that.
What do you do?
So we had
or an immigrant.
a homeless. yeah, there's
You know,
a bus that showed up.
everybody's phone. Everybody just had that emergency
No, they have
phone
the
that went
iPhone
off.
15 now, right?
Titanium.
Right.
We did have to call the police on the one homeless lady, and it was easy though. She left.
Right.
No.
Yeah, she made it easy. No, but so how do you? You've been doing this now for, let's say, most of your career.
Yeah.
Can you pretty much judge up front if you're going to get a decent tip, or you can't judge a book by its cover? You just go with the flow. I mean, is there a classification of type of person that you're assuming isn't going to be a good
Yeah. Do you
tip?
know? Can you look at someone and say, "Oh, I'm not getting a tip. I'm not getting a good tip
Yeah,
from this
I mean,
person."
this is like,
Well, I don't think there's a general rule. I mean,
or 3 girls that take 3 seats for 2 hours and they just drink
Drinking
water.
Prosecco.
Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna get, say the bill's $50, you're gonna get $8 on it.
Wow.
And they could take up 3 seats.
Yeah.
Of a 10-seat bar.
So that's what there
20-seat
was a
bar. That's a lot.
there was a rule at my old restaurant where if you want to sit at this bar at 5 o'clock, it was fine, you could sit and drink. But once we start to get busy, if you're gonna sit at the bar, you have to eat dinner, because that
like that
happened
rule.
too often.
I like
Right.
that rule.
You know, it's like we had 3 ladies that would come in, they would each have
Unless
a
they're
glass
doing
of wine.
shots of Louis.
Yeah, unless they're doing shots of Louis. The worst is when I have like we have now the restaurant, we can accommodate anything. Our tables move around. We can accommodate. We have full restaurant buyouts, half restaurant buyouts.
And what does that mean for 116,000 listeners? What's a buyout mean?
So a buyout is like they can reserve like a portion of the restaurant, or you
Okay.
can reserve the whole restaurant.
And buy it for the night.
And then there's actually like a specific table where you can buy just like these 2 tables that can accommodate 20 people.
He's dying for a question.
No,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
no,
He's
no,
got a
okay.
question.
No,
Go ahead.
it is. My question is, what are some of the most expensive bar bills that you've seen? Like, someone could sit there with 4 friends and, they had a good day and they want to pile off, like, do shots of Louis. Have you ever had, like, your $4,000, but not with a bottle, not like someone sitting there saying, I want a bottle of, of a wine that, the bottle's like $3,200. I'm talking like
Yeah.
slamming down drinks, like,
My most expensive tab was probably was $3,200 or $3,500 for 4 people, and they were drinking Louis.
Right.
Wow.
Did
Yeah,
anybody
they
get the
had
bottle?
7
Did anybody
shots.
get the bottle?
Yeah, so there was 7 shots left in the bottle, and kind of rule of thumb is if you buy that bottle, you get to take it with you.
Right, the last shot.
Yeah.
You get the
It's a crystal bottle.
right.
So-
It's a Baccarat bottle.
I'm curious. I buy.
My sister-in-law loves to be the last person to buy those bottles.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So I go out with a bunch of, some of my neighbors are big wine drinkers. So let's say they buy a $200 bottle of wine. Are you supposed to give 20% on the $200 bottle because you're just pouring the wine, or is there like
Good question. It's always everybody always has
yeah,
that.
like or takeout? What's the tip on takeout? But let's ask the wine first. Like, if I'm buying a $200 bottle of wine, am I supposed to leave a $40 tip for that $200? I understand, dinner.
You know what side you're on, but like, what's the?
Yeah, well,
No,
of course I'm gonna. I see where it's like, all right, well, you just open the bottle of wine, but I try. That's why I present the bottle. I open the bottle. I make sure that I'm the one pouring that bottle. I don't want you to have to lift a finger, right? And like, I mean, wine service is a big deal. I think that it should be tipped on. I think if you're going to spend $300 on a bottle,
I'm not saying
of wine,
nothing. I'm saying,
Yeah.
do you give the same? He's saying the same 20%.
like the standard 20%.
Like if someone
30%.
can say, listen, he's going to pour it. Because if I would have bought a bottle for say $100,
Yeah.
you're going to do the same thing as you are for $1,000. You're not you're not doing anything anymore. So why can't I tip you like it's a $100 bottle?
Yeah. No, I see that. I guess most people do tip on it. Let's just say that. I would say maybe 1 out of 5 don't.
Right.
So,
But they don't even tip at all?
or they'll tip 20% on the food and then like leave an extra 10 or something.
They'll break it down.
They'll break it down.
They'll like
but
get
most
out the
people
calculator.
How about takeout? When people go to the place
Yeah,
and they get
takeout.
takeout.
We do a lot of takeout. I think it's like girls say like 10% usually is like what
Okay.
they get, which is.
Do you tip in takeout?
Well, it depends if it's being delivered to my house. Then
Yeah.
you're tipping.
Right, the
You're tipping,
driver.
tipping upstairs. But
Yeah.
on a regular takeout, I'll tip. I'll tip like 10%.
That's what I do too. It's 10%.
But
Because they're still packing it.
they're
doing stuff.
packing it. So who gets that? The bartender's not putting it together, so she
Depends,
gets
I
the.
guess. Like we have a takeout window, a takeout lady, so like she's
Right.
doing all that.
So you have to share it with her.
Well, it's like its own little, it's its own job
Oh,
title.
so
really.
she-
Your
that you go
takeout-
over there?
Yeah, your takeout. That's what you handle.
Does anybody ask you when they're doing it, like in Japan, when you buy a round drinks, you can buy one for the bartender. Now he has to turn his back and drink it. In Japan, they turn their back and then they drink it, and it's like an honor. Does anybody buy shots for you and say, "Come on"?
Yeah. I mean, sake, wine,
Right.
shots. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're allowed to. We can't obviously take product and just drink it. I
No.
was at a restaurant where you were allowed, and I
Didn't
had
work
a
out.
short stint there. Yeah, that's not who I am. I'm not
Right.
a huge
Yeah,
drinker.
But if someone says, "Here's a Louis, take the shot."
Of course, yeah. No, that was one.
Or a
of
good
that,
glass of wine. Let's say a guy
Yeah.
opens a $500 bottle of wine. Here, try it. You
Yeah,
know,
that
okay.
happens a lot. We actually do like a special at my restaurant, 50% off bottles of wine on Monday. So it's a pretty cool deal. So I
Wow,
get to try a lot.
50%. That's a lot
Let
off.
me ask you this.
Any bottle of wine.
Wow, that's
yeah.
huge.
It's
One
pretty cool.
question for you. Does anybody ever buy, say, a $500 bottle of wine, but they don't finish it? Like they only drank like half a bottle, they're the girl that they're with or whatever. It was only him drinking it. He had 2 glasses. That's what he likes to drink, so he's not deviating against what he usually does. And now there's half a bottle there.
Yeah.
What do you do with that half a bottle?
So some guests will leave it for the server or the bartender, but we have bags that are sealed. You can seal the bag. You slip the wine in the bag. You put the receipt in there. You cork it, and just take it with them.
But
That's
but
nice.
I didn't know. But it's a lot of people. I bet you leave the bottle. Like if there's a glass.
Yeah.
Now who gets that? Wouldn't that be something that someone would want to like drink?
Yeah, I mean, whoever served the table or if they were
Right.
bartending, yeah, they get to drink it.
So you mean the waiter or the waitress who if they see there's a bottle and they go like this and there's like 2 glasses in there, they can come back and say, "Hey, guys, to the kitchen. Anybody want to like
Yeah. We have guys. We
that'd
have
be great. That's okay.
Yeah, there's guests that be like, I want to buy a round of beers for the kitchen. So we'll throw 16 beers on the tab and
Wow, that's pretty good. Well,
You should learn that.
Goldberg has that, he's the watch king, and he has these NBA ball players when they win like the big dance.
Yeah.
They call him up and say, "I want to buy a Rolex for everybody on the team."
Yeah.
Right?
We've had that. We had that.
yeah. where
It's
they
pretty
buy-
cool.
That's
It's
pretty
not when they
cool.
win. It's not when they win. It's when they sign the contract.
yeah, the big
Right.
they get their,
When they
get
sign the
paid.
For
contract.
$60 million a year, right?
Yeah, then they can buy. They bought Rolexes for the entire team, or buy gifts for the team.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, I learned something today. You know, we have
yeah, we have merch that we can sell.
we have merch
Yeah.
that we're running out of time. We're going to say goodbye, but I want to just bring this up for all these folks that didn't know this, like me. We have merchandise now. We have T-shirts. And we have coffee mugs. And I didn't know that there was a left-hand coffee mug
And a right
hand. Like this would be a left-hand coffee mug, so that. Well, I don't know. Are you supposed to be looking at your logo?
It
or
depends.
supposed
If
to
you
be
want to
like-
look at yourself, you might be a lefty or you might be a righty.
Right.
It all depends.
But if you're podcast superstars, you want people to see the logo, right?
Then it's a left-handed mug.
Well, then it's a left-handed mug. If you're not, it
Right.
would be a right-handed mug. I never knew that.
Right. So this would be right, and then this would have to be left. But
You know, I also learned another thing in the restaurants, like the plate that says, let's say you're going to Le Colonial or something. The plate that says Le Colonial, that's so the server knows how to put the plate down in front of the Le Colonial is supposed to be in a certain spot. Yeah, I just learned that too. I mean, it's a whole education.
ready?
Yeah,
I just learned a thing. So Cutty should like buy a round of drinks for the kitchen.
Yeah, 16 beer. How much would 16 beers cost me?
I don't know.
$10 a beer?
Yeah,
Let me ask you this though: the person that does that, and they know him in the back. They say, "There's a guy out there. He just bought everybody around." Do they give him special attention?
Like an extra scoop of mashed
no,
potatoes?
just like do they give it like it's special?
Yeah, I mean,
Is he getting his money's worth a little bit?
Right, like an extra slice of
It's not
roast
like-
beef in my sandwich. Or...
I feel like it's just a nice gesture. Like, not really like you're giving something. And
No,
expect,
but it's still,
yeah.
but it doesn't happen that often. He stands,
Doesn't, yeah.
he separates himself from the rest of the people. So you
Yeah, I
have
mean,
to be
we pay special attention to that table.
right.
Yeah, we make sure. I mean, every table is we're in the Forbes. The restaurant I'm at now is top 100 restaurants in America. Forbes. We're gonna get a Michelin star here soon, and I mean, we're a $15 million restaurant. Like it's
That's
So
crazy.
so that's great.
I mean, an average restaurant, folks, is $2 or $3 million. Mitch is at a $15 million year.
With a season that like for 4 months is like basically you're like on like you're at 20%.
Right.
yeah. I mean,
So you're 5 times the average.
yeah, it's pretty. We're still doing. I mean, we cut it off about 350, 360 reservations a night. So like
Wow.
right now we're doing so
let's do the
Friday
math.
and Saturday we have over 300 already on the books. So
And typically, how many people are you serving at one time?
I think the restaurant can accommodate.
No, you yourself, a server, would they have 10, 12, 15 people?
Yeah, right in through there. It just depends what section. We have sections with 2, 8.
So,
8
like
top.
a
I
night
mean,
like that, you
just
can make
depends.
$1,000 and you don't even have to take your clothes off. I mean, boom.
Yeah.
That's
But
amazing.
look how knowledgeable he has to be for the drinks, for the
No, the
people.
wine, yeah.
The people, you have to know who they are, what they like to drink a lot of times, how to make the drinks. You know,
Yeah.
so, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it.
So one last question. We are so running out of time. But like when somebody abuses you, and I can't see why somebody would because you're so polite and nice and knowledgeable, like how do you handle that? Do you get a manager come over? If some guy's just an asshole and he's
Yeah.
trying to show off to his girlfriend or something, like do you like, can I buy you dessert, or do you try and offload the anger in some...
So the way I always approach this is I never want the guests to leave unhappy. I mean, I want them to have like at least an easy, when they're going out the doors, I want them to be like, okay, that everything's fine. I don't want someone to leave angry. So
It's a lot of money they spend.
there's only so much I can do. Just getting someone else to like intervene, a manager or something, like coming from someone else is always better.
That's a good point.
Right, I agree.
You know, it's
Third
like,
party.
yeah, get a third party. I mean, I ran into, there was one incident where this guy had a tab for 4 beers, and I'm like, hey, sir, like, you have a tab open, and he was like, he said I raised my voice at him, and like, granted, it's a loud restaurant, right? Like,
Yeah.
of course, I wanted to get your attention, but in a respectful way. And, he's dropping F-bombs like, fuck you. It's, it's just beers, relax.
I want to choke the guy, grab him,
I want to jump over the bar and be like,
hit him in the face.
I have a shirt and tie on because I'm at work, but I'll beat your ass. No, I would never. But yeah, so like that instant, I'm just like, look, dude, like just pay your tab, like, and then I'll just apologize because like that's always better. Like just be the bigger man. Hey, I'm sorry that I yelled at you. Could you just please pay your tab?
Yeah.
And then, but if it comes to it, you get a manager involved, and I mean, there's been people that have been asked to never come back.
Oh, really? You get thrown out permanently?
You'll get thrown out, or like, hey, for the rest of this season, just find somewhere else to enjoy.
Wow.
Wow. Well, we're lucky.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Mitch, I want to thank you.
We left so many subjects that we didn't get to.
No, you're going to have to come back because there's like 20 other things. I mean, that I want to ask you.
Your girlfriend comes home and she says that she made more money than you, and she didn't really do as much as you did. She just smiled and she got more money. It's like unfair.
His girlfriend, by the way, is super gorgeous.
Yeah,
super gorgeous.
Right.
I'm very happy.
It's like sort of unfair. You know?
Yeah.
She smiles and comes home and gets more money.
Right. She was ignoring me till he came over and said, "This is my friend David."
She's,
and then all of a sudden,
she's
she was
trained.
nice.
She knows.
Right.
She's very. I enjoy her, and
How long are you dating now?
We've been together for a year, and
Nice.
like not working together at the same place is great because it's the top restaurant in Palm Beach, and
Think you guys should get married.
yeah. I think
Well, that's
maybe.
Can
I say the restaurant?
you can give a shout out to your
All
restaurant.
right, yeah. I'll shout out to Chef Clay Conley, James Beard Award nominee, and Bukan Emoto. So we look forward to opening
great.
up
Yeah. I've been there.
some
It's great.
restaurants, maybe Coral Gables, Tampa. I love working for them. They're a great group of guys.
And also, they have valet parking, which is great in Palm Beach, right?
Yeah, and like the owners Piper and Sam, they're just awesome. And my general manager Andy, like they're just
It's one of the top restaurants down here. It's
yeah,
like a
like
place
you
to
gotta
go.
have game to work there, and like they don't put up with the nonsense. And
Right.
I'm
Pros.
thankful that they're pros.
That's great.
Yeah, simply put.
Well, it was great having you. You can follow us, all our listeners, on Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Apple. We appreciate Mitch coming in here today. This was great. We want to have you back.
And you can ask for Mitch. Anybody call up, ask for Mitch. He'll
ask
try to
for
get you a
Mitch.
spot at the table.
Yeah.
If not, ask for Cutty. And Mitch, you always need that name to ask for and say, I listened to this podcast, save me a seat at the bar. And that might work.
I know Mitch from his prior spots. I've only been to this Bucom once. I went last week to say hi to him and talk to him about our show. Anyway, thanks, folks. What a great show.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks
Take
for
care.
having me.
Bye.